connection, a correlation, or an alignment with Pacific Islander people, you're not insane. You're not completely wrong because there is a correlation, if not a complete relation between Pacific Island people and specifically our people from the Philippines. It's me, Omilani, AfroFilipina, and I want to keep this conversation going. We already started by talking about Asian, and so now we've moved on to Pacific Islander. These are terms that have come from other people and their definitions of who we are as people. So we started with Asian, which is a Greek word that initially referred to people from Persia. So now we're dealing with Pacific Islander. Again, with our favorite, Wikipedia. It's not the best, but it's a starting point. What I found out is that Pacifica was first used in, forgive me, I'm having trouble saying this word, but Aotearoa, New Zealand, to describe the non-indigenous ethnic groups that had immigrated to the country from previously listed Pacific countries, excluding New Zealand. So this did not count the Maori people. So Pacifica meant non-indigenous. Although today when we talk about Pacific Island people, what comes in mind first, I think, are people who are more indigenous. All right, let us keep going. The umbrella terms Pacific Islands and Pacific Islander has many, many different definitions. And I think even in the modern sense, we can find it used in a number of different ways. But guess what? Here, it is saying that in other uses, Pacific Islander can refer to areas with Austronesian linguistic heritage like Taiwan, Indonesia, Micronesia, Polynesia, and the Myanmar Islands. So it talks about the groups that have come out of Taiwan and Austronesian specifically, which some people are arguing that we're not Pacific Islander, we are Austronesian.
So I wanted to reiterate and say it again that Filipinos are not Polynesians. We live on islands, so that technically makes us islander. However, this term confuses everybody. When you say islander, most people think Pacific Islander, which goes back to being Polynesian. Don't use that term. Now, what we do have is an ancestry that connects us back to the Polynesians, Micronesians, Indonesians, Malaysians, and the Malagasy of Madagascar. So this ancient group of seafarers are called the Austronesians, and technically we are all Austronesian. One group of Austronesians left the island of Taiwan at about 2500 BC and settled in northern Luzon, which is in the Philippines. From that point, they spread out east and west, eventually settling into Madagascar and Rapa Nui, Maori, Aotearoa, and
Austronesian is also classified as a linguistic group. So this is a list of, in terms of ethno-linguistics, the Pacific Islanders of Oceania are divided into two ethnic classifications. There are Austronesian-speaking people and Papuan-speaking people. And then there's a list of the people who are considered Austronesian Polynesian, and then North and Southeast Polynesian, Melanesians, Micronesians, etc. Now, I find this, even though this video is not as long as the video on Asian, I find this fascinating. Also, this term Polynesian. I noticed when we had AAPI Heritage Month, Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, I didn't hear much talk about Polynesian people, but I remember growing up feeling connected with being Polynesian too, because I didn't fully understand the Asian term. I knew that I would see people from like Samoa. I always felt like we look like we could be cousins, like we look like we could be related somewhere down the line. But identity is so complicated and not so cut and dry. This is something that I'm continuing to research because to understand it, we have to deconstruct and fight through all of these reconstructions of our identity. All of this conversation started to answer the question, are we Asian or are we Pacific Islander? Well, the answer is throughout time, these definitions have changed. And throughout time, these were not even our own words, these were not even our own definitions. So the only thing that changed is who was telling us we had to identify as these particular things. The point of all of this is that it behooves us to dig into our history and not just be so quick to point fingers at each other. This is all the information I have now, but follow me as we venture until the next adventure. Salamat!